As the primary starfighter of the Rebel Alliance in their war against the Galactic Empire, and of the Resistance in their efforts against the First Order, the X-Wing has proven to be one of the galaxy's premier starfighters, offering an unmatched combination in speed, armor, weaponry, and maneuverability. But the X-Wing of the Rebellion and that of the Resistance represent two separate and distinct models of X-Wing, wherein the Rebels utilized the T65 model and the Resistance utilized the T70 model. Although there are many similarities between these two models, there are subtle differences in the T65 and T70 X-Wings. In this video expose, I will compare the T65 and T70 X-Wing models in regard to their weaponry, defensive capabilities, and other important features. Let's start with the Rebel T65. The T65 X-Wing, used by the Rebel Alliance, emerged during the Galactic Civil War, but its design lineage extends to starfighters that saw action during the Clone Wars. Designed by the Incom Corporation, the T65 was the product of an extensive examination of Incom's preceding starfighters, the ARC-170 and the Z-95 Headhunter. Through this analytical and testing process, Incom developed and created the designs of the T65 X-Wing, an extremely versatile and well-balanced starfighter that featured impressive offensive and defensive capabilities, and in many ways, had no real exploitable weaknesses. These designs would ultimately fall into the hands of the Rebels, who adapted and improved upon the initial specifications to meet the demands of the Rebellion. The T65 had a length of 13.4 meters and a width of 11.76 meters. Its Incom 4L4 fusel thrust engines, of which there were 4, allowed the X-Wing to achieve a maximum atmospheric speed of 1,050 km per hour, slightly slower than the maximum speed of the standard TIE Fighter, which was 1,200 km per hour. The T-65 model featured an impressive array of weapons. It was armed with 4 Tame-and-Back KX-9 laser cannons. Each laser cannon consisted of a magnetic flashback suppressor that would act to prevent the laser from damaging the cannon. The T-65 X-Wing was also outfitted with an MG-7 proton torpedo launcher, which could hold up to 2 proton torpedoes, vastly increasing the firepower output of the starfighter. To better utilize these weapons, the T-65 featured an attack mode, whereby the X-Wing would expand and separate its S-foils. Having entered attack mode, this allowed the T-65 to greatly increase the effective firing cone of its laser cannons. But engaging attack mode not only improved the offensive capabilities of the starfighter, it also improved its defensive capabilities as well, as the expanded S-foil configuration increased the effectiveness of its deflector shield by increasing the shield's envelope around the starfighter. Therefore, while the T-65's deflector shield generator did provide the X-Wing with impressive shielding while not in attack mode, once attack mode was engaged, the deflector shield became even more effective. The T-65 X-Wing had an armored cockpit large enough to support only a single pilot. The cockpit contained a pressurized and breathable atmosphere. However, even with the presence of this internal life support system, T-65 pilots typically opted to wear vac suits that acted as a precaution in the event that an emergency caused a catastrophic decompression. Finally, the T-65 X-Wing was also equipped with a hyperdrive system, an impressive feature for a starfighter of its size. These aspects made the T-65 one of the best all-around starfighters of the Galactic Civil War, and became the standard that all other fighters were measured against, giving the Rebellion a significant edge. Out of the Rebellion era T-65 X-Wing model came the T-70. Developed and manufactured by Incom Frytech, a corporation that came into existence after the fall of the Empire, when Incom Corporation chose to amalgamate, the T-70 X-Wing was designed for use by the New Republic and was heavily based off of the T-65 Starfighter. Although the T-70 shared many similarities with its predecessor, it also saw a number of significant improvements, as Incom Frytech took advantage of new technologies in the area of miniaturization. Over time, the New Republic would replace its fleet of T-70s with the new T-85 model. However, given the cheaper cost, the T-70 X-Wing came to be adopted by the Resistance in their war against the First Order. The T-70 model was slightly shorter than the T-65, with a length of 12.41 meters. It featured 4 upgraded Incom Frytech 5L5 fusel thrust engines that could push the T-70 to speeds that slightly exceeded its predecessor's maximum atmospheric speed of 1,050 km per hour. These upgraded engines, combined with its calibrated retro thrusters and built-in electromagnetic gyros, gave the T-70 X-Wing impressive maneuverability in both space and planet-side atmospheres. Like the previous T-65, the T-70 featured impressive firepower and weaponry capabilities. Instead of the previous generation's KX-9 laser cannons, the T-70 was armed with 4 tame-and-back KX-12 laser cannons. It also featured 2 distinct flying modes. First, a cruise mode, wherein the 4 wings of the X-Wing were retracted together, and second, an attack mode, wherein the S-foils would expand away from each other. Once in attack mode, the T-70 had the option of entering into single, dual, or quad firing modes, and gave the Starfighter greater range with its laser cannons. But where the T-70 X-Wing model saw a vast increase in firepower over the T-65 was in the area of its heavier payloads. While the T-65 only had the capability to be armed with up to 2 proton torpedoes, the T-70 could be armed with a maximum of 8. This was due primarily to the fact that Incom Frytech was able to miniaturize the new MG-7A proton torpedo models. However, in addition to proton torpedoes, the T-70 could also be equipped with other payloads, including concussion missiles and mag-pulse launchers, providing the pilots with the option of using alternative armaments. The Battle of Yavin and the destruction of a number of T-65 X-Wings that occurred there was also a great source of learning for the corporation's designers and engineers. The valuable lessons learned at Yavin led to the inclusion of an aft-facing blaster cannon found on the underside of the T-70. This was added to provide the T-70 with greater defensive capabilities than merely relying on a deflector shield alone. That said, the T-70 model also featured a deflector shield generator to defend its pilots in battle. Like the T-65, the T-70 X-Wing could only carry a single pilot. However, unlike the previous model, it had the ability to be loaded and configured with a number of astromech droid models to better assist the pilot. The T-70 also contained a built-in life support system that provided an oxygenated atmosphere within the cockpit. Finally, the T-70 Starfighter also contained a hyperdrive system, which was mounted in the rear of the vehicle opposite to the deflector shield generator. These features made the T-70 X-Wing model even more advanced and versatile than the T-65 model, providing the Resistance with an impressive frontline starfighter in its war against the First Order. So there we have it, the Rebel T-65 X-Wing versus the Resistance T-70 X-Wing. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me, for Astromech Droid.